Hi everyone, it's Mrs. Mystery. In this basic skills building video we are looking at 1 point perspective and shapes and letters. So we are going to start off with some basic shapes and drawing them so they fall into a vanishing point, and then using that principle you're going to be working with letters as well. So grab a pencil and a piece of paper and let's get started. There's two things that we need to focus on when we're looking at perspective. The first one is the horizon line, and that is the horizontal line that goes across your page. Now that doesn't matter if it's high or if it's low or if it's in the middle, but I would generally start off with a middle horizon line. So I've just marked halfway from the top to the bottom of my piece of paper, and I'm just drawing in that horizon line. So that is my horizon line. And think of it as, if you're looking at a landscape, that's your sky, that's your land, and that's the line where they meet in the middle. That's why it's called the horizon. On your horizon line, and it has to be on your horizon line, is a vanishing point, and that's the point where all of the images, boxes, shapes, whatever you're drawing meet. It's the bit where they vanish into the distance. So when you're starting off, I would always make sure that that's in the middle, because that will help you understand the shapes that you are drawing. Okay, so you've got your horizon line and you've got your vanishing point. Using those two, that's how we can start understanding the shapes and drawings that we're going to be doing. You don't have to label these, I'm just labeling them so you can see them in the video. Anything that you draw above the horizon line will look like it's flying up. Anything that you draw at the bottom of the horizon line will look like it's kind of sitting down. So if I show you really briefly, if we're going to draw, say, a box. So start off with some basic shapes that you're confident drawing. So as many shapes, if you've got a stencil, you can use a stencil, some stars, some hearts, those kinds of things. You could even have, say, a circle. And what you're going to do then with those shapes is you are going to make them look like they're coming out of that vanishing point by drawing lines, faint lines, from the vanishing point to the corners of those shapes. So I would always keep your ruler lined up with your vanishing point and then pivot your ruler to where it needs to go. So I'm going to start with this square first. So lining up my ruler with the vanishing point and then making sure it's lined up with one of the corners and drawing a line so it meets that vanishing point. I'm now going to move my ruler so it hits that corner, making sure that it's lined up with my vanishing point, and the same with that corner. Now remember, in my previous video we talked about just using 3 corners, and that's the case with this as well. So then that gives you the option to then shade those areas or colour those areas in. If you were to draw from the 4th point, which is that one, that would make it look like a tunnel, like the shape is hollow. But that's entirely up to you. I'm not drawing those lines in today. It can become quite complex. So continue doing your lines to your vanishing point for the outer edges of the shapes that are facing the vanishing point. do as many shapes as you want to. You can fill your page, and then it's up to you to decide how you're going to start shading them in. So you could go quite dark from the vanishing point and get it lighter and lighter as it comes up towards. Or you could do it the other way, where you have it darker at the outer edge and lighter as it goes in to the vanishing point. Whichever way you decide, make sure you stick to the same way for your shapes so it looks nice and even and neat. I'm just showing you here for demonstration purposes. The other thing that you could do is use colour, and I've mentioned before using 3 colours, a light, a medium and a dark. Is actually cut the shape off so it doesn't finish at the vanishing point. And if you are going to do that, remember we need to think carefully about parallel lines. So if you're going to cut the shape off at the end there, it needs to be parallel to the line that it's opposite. So for this particular prism, I've cut that shape off by putting a parallel line to that one. And now that's a shape that's still in 1 point perspective, but doesn't go all the way to the end. So you can play around with shading in a different way with that one if you wanted to. Same with this one. So if I follow that parallel line, I'm going to cut it off here. Same with that top line. I'm going to follow it till it hits the point of that corner there. And I'm going to rub out the lines that lead it to the vanishing point. So it looks like a shape sat on the ground. Now again, you can shade those in as you want to. When it comes to the circle, we've not really gone through shading on a curved surface, but this is a great example for you to be able to do. What works really well is curving your shading. So nice and dark feathery lines on the edge that kind of flick out to the middle. That get a lot lighter. Following the shape of that curve, do the same from the top. That's why you should always put a piece of paper down when you are shading, so you don't get smudge marks all over the place. So what I wanted to show you was an example of what happens when you change the vanishing point. So this particular drawing I've done, the vanishing point is in the middle there. I've drawn exactly the same shapes, but I've changed the vanishing point so it's there on this next drawing. And you can see the whole drawing is massively different. The shapes look different, how they're sitting look different. So how you determine, where you determine your vanishing point to be, can have a massive impact on your drawing. So play around with different vanishing points on your horizon line, because I think that will be quite interesting for you to come up with different shapes. Letters look really good as 1 point perspective drawings as well, and it's a good way for you to practice drawing letters and when working with those vanishing point lines. So I'll quickly run through some pointers of how to do this, or how to do something like this. So there you go, guys. I hope you found those tips useful. Using 1 point perspective is important in all aspects of drawing, whether you're drawing a room or a street or buildings. Really think about your vanishing point and making sure that all your lines kind of add up to that, and using parallel lines to help you with those things, because it will just make your drawings more effective. Please do send me your work with the hashtag Mrs. Mystery Makes, and find me on the usual handles of Facebook and Instagram. Bye!